Most people looking north of Denver go straight to Thornton, Erie, or Commerce City. Meanwhile, Brighton's over here like, I've got all the things those other communities offer at a way better price. Because Brighton has newer communities, old Colorado roots, a real downtown, and pricing that can make someone stop mid-scroll and go, wait, why haven't I looked here yet? Brighton is not trying to be the loudest city in that part of the metro, but once you understand the map, the commute, the new construction, and what's happening downtown, it starts making a stronger case than a lot of people expect. So before you write Brighton off as too far, too quiet, or too far northeast, let's get the map right. Stick with me and I'll show you exactly where Brighton fits, including the pockets most people drive right past and the one I actually live in. The location piece matters because it changes how the rest of this tour should be viewed. I've lived in Colorado my whole life. In 20 of those years, right here in Brighton. And it's where I live today. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the city that I actually live in. Years ago, Brighton felt like its own thing. Heading this direction just kind of felt like you were leaving the Denver Metro conversation for a minute. That drive feels completely different now. The Metro has pushed farther north. The airport corridor became a bigger deal, and Brighton went from about 21,000 residents in 2000 to around 45,000 today. Now, the big thing to understand is access. Brighton connects through I-76, E-470, and Highway 85, which puts you in play for DIA, Commerce City, Thornton, and parts of North Denver. So when someone asks me, is Brighton too far? My answer is usually no. It's not. It depends on from where. But relatively speaking, you have much quicker access to the things you need than most people expect when they move to Brighton. If your regular drive points towards DIA, Adams County, North Denver, or really just the northeast side of the metro, Brighton may work better than you'd expect. The day-to-day setup matters too. You've got Prairie Center, and look, living in Brighton, we are there all the time. And then you also have downtown Brighton. The everyday amenities are already here, and the experience changes depending on which part of town you're looking at. If Brighton is starting to look promising and you want to add it to part of your search, my name is Patrick Laurienti. I'm a local realtor here in Colorado, and I actually live in Brighton. My team and I help compare the map, commute, the numbers, nearby communities before any of our buyers waste weekends touring areas that we're never going to line up. So call, text, or email us using the information on the screen or down below. And guys, I'm going to help you sort out Brighton, Thornton, Erie, Commerce City, or really anywhere else you're trying to narrow down here in the Denver Metro. All right, now in Brighton, two homes can show up 5 minutes apart online and feel like they belong in two separate markets. One might sit closer to central Brighton, an older floor plan, maybe a bigger backyard. A few minutes away, you're looking at newer construction with a fresh new layout, smaller lot, a new tax structure, builder incentives, and extra costs that don't always jump out when you're scrolling online. Now slow down here because the screen price is only the first number. Redfin shows Brighton's median sales price around $517,000. Now use that as a citywide baseline. The real story starts when you add in age, location, square footage, and lot size. Now, new construction in Brighton, Colorado plays a big role. Brighton Crossings is a great example of how a newer community feels compared to an older neighborhood near the center of town. Brighton Crossings, it's a master plan community. You've got fitness centers, pools, splash pads, parks, dog parks, and courts for tennis, pickleball, and basketball. And here's a secret I'm going to give you from an agent who actually lives here. There are neighborhoods in between the older and the newer builds where you can find a newer-ish home with higher square footage without paying all the taxes that come with brand new construction. And if you're comparing Brighton with Thornton, Commerce City, Erie, Fort Lupton, do more than compare the numbers Zillow puts in front of you. Or like a lot of people who are just like you watching our videos on this channel, just reach out. We do a non-obligation Zoom meeting with clients all the time. And I'll tell you, a quick Zoom with me will save you hours of research. Now, Brighton still has some original Colorado texture hanging on, and that's the big part of the appeal. You've got older Adams County side, the Platte River corridor, and then you have pieces of the agricultural history and newer development pushing around the edges. Now, with that much space, Brighton does not all read the same from one pocket to the next. The older core, the open space corridors, you have newer rooftops, and the developing edges all creating their own experiences as you move around. The parks and open space side adds a lot too. Being somebody who lives in in Brighton, Colorado, there are so many parks to choose from, we practically get lost deciding which one to take the kids to. That's where Brighton gets some personality. You could be near the old civic areas around City Hall and then head towards open space, athletic fields, and neighborhoods that feel like a separate part of the city within a short drive. Now, my local take, give Brighton more than one pass. Drive the older corridors, check out the parks, and pay attention to how the city shifts from one pocket to another. A drive through town gives you the vibe. A regular week tells you whether the city actually works. And when you spend that week here, you realize how much of your daily life is already covered, which is exactly what I want to show you next. A community can look good on the map and still get annoying fast if every errand turns into a 30-minute production. Brighton does way better here than it gets credit for. As I said before, we're at Prairie Center nearly every day. I'm talking Super Target, Home Depot, Hobby Lobby, PetSmart, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chick-fil-A, just about everything from a shopping, eating, and entertainment standpoint. Then you've got downtown, which gives Brighton more local character than you might get in most cities. For events, not only do you have stuff that goes right down Main Street, which I'm standing on filming currently right now, but you also have Carmichael Park, which is one of the names to know. On the recreation side, we've got an outdoor water park, a BMX track, bike trails, and the Brighton Recreation Center, which just went through a huge renovation. We'll get into that into another video. Now let's summarize. I'm gonna do a simple breakdown. Prairie Center for big errands, downtown for local shops, Carmichael Park for events, and a city with a real recreation system. I think you're starting to get the picture. This city can really start to feel like home. There's one area on the south side of Brighton that feels less like a small new home pocket and more like a bet on what Brighton could become. And that community is Farmore. So Farmore is a major planned area that's shaping a whole new piece of Brighton. And here's what gives it some weight. The land is a former third-generation farm. When I was growing up, I used to drive down this street past this old beat-up abandoned barn that looked like it was about to fall over. Well, that 10,000 square foot barn is now the focal point of the whole community. And the plans, whether they all come to fruition or not, include 60 plus acres of open space, over 11 miles of trails, a large community park, an outdoor pool, a rec center, athletic fields, and a connection to Prairie Lake's open space. Now here's my local warning. Model homes are designed to make normal financial discipline disappear. Nobody remembers to ask about taxes. Farmore is part of a metro district. We talk about new builds and taxes all the time on this channel. We just want to make sure that when you fall in love with the community, you also know what you'll be paying every month once taxes are a part of the equation. And look, before any shiny new community pulls you in, there's one thing I'd always check first, and it's the drive. All right, now before you start falling in love with a home, I want to come back to the location, specifically the commute. To me, somebody who lives here and commutes all the time, Brighton's not too far out of the way, and the commute times are super manageable, but you've got to do the math yourself. Here's why I feel like Brighton is a sneaky good commute. You've got I-76, E-470, and Highway 85, all of which make getting around way more convenient than people think. First, you have I-76. This takes you right into Denver, and it moves smooth almost all of the time. US 85, on the other hand, it will get you there too, but it tends to have heavier traffic. And then E-470 connects you to just about anywhere in the metro. And if you'd rather take the bus, we've got the RTD Express option as well. Bottom line, Brighton's out of the way, but not as far as most people think. You've just got to do the math and map out the commute. Now, once the commute checks out, the next thing I look at is where the city is actually headed. Anyone can say a city's growing. I care more about whether the signals stack up. I grew up here. We used to have an Applebee's and a King Soopers and about 10 Mexican restaurants. Now we've got Prairie Center, the movie theaters. You got 4 grocery stores, not counting Target. New restaurants popping up every quarter. I can go on and on. And the cool thing is there's still plenty of land to keep growing. Now on the commercial side, 76 Commerce Center and the industrial corridor are worth watching. You have big projects there that shape jobs and traffic over time. And another thing we look at is Brighton's Downtown Development Authority vote passed in November 2025 with about 79% in support. The city is clearly investing in downtown. But here's the most promising thing nobody really talks about. Brighton is the hub for a whole ring of growing towns around it. Places like Hudson, just north of us, is getting the BNSF Railroad running through town, along with Windermere Speedway. And a lot of other Northeast Colorado leans on Brighton for their day-to-day amenities. So it's not just Brighton growing, it's all the surrounding towns growing and using Brighton as their base. The upside is real. North and Northeast Metro access, newer communities, established older pockets, and pricing that feels more approachable than a lot of areas closer to Denver. And we've already covered the housing, the taxes, the commute, so I won't rehash it. The real question is simple. Does Brighton line up with how you actually move through the metro and with the monthly number that you're actually comfortable with? So here's my final take on Brighton. Brighton is not the obvious choice for everyone, but that's exactly why some of you should take it serious. From my perspective, Brighton is one of the best suburbs of all Denver to get the best bang for your buck, to still have a ton of amenities, and for it to feel like that small town community feel that a lot of you want. So if Brighton is even remotely on your radar, reach out. I live here, I work here, I breathe here. This is the place I know better than anyone. In fact, last year I was the #1 agent by production right here in Brighton. And if you're looking in the greater Denver metro area, I was ranked top 1.5% of agents in the entire country by Real Trends. I don't just say that to brag and say, look at me, but I think it's important you guys know I'm not just good at making videos. Like, I actually sell a lot of homes here in Colorado and specifically in Brighton. And if you're still researching, all good, keep on going right here on this channel. We've got community tours, home tours, and videos that show you what it's like to live in Brighton in the surrounding Denver metro. Guys, thank you so much for watching. A lot of you don't realize how impactful it is to smash the like button, subscribe, drop a comment so we can get this information out to folks just like you looking to relocate here. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.